City Council regular meeting on February 19th, 2025. The time is 5:31 p.m. This is a call to order. Can I get a roll call?
Councillor Woodruff, Mayor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Here.
Councillor Youssef, and Councillor Bosmans.
Present.
Item 1.1, reading of the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Jicarilla, Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi-Sinam, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step towards inclusion and reconciliation. Thank you. Item 2, the introduction of the translator. Is the translator on? That happens every time. Is there the translator online?
Liz, you've been unmuted. She should be rejoining.
Okay, we'll move on, and then when she's here, just wave me down and I'll switch back over. Opening remarks by Mayor and Council. I just wanted to let everyone listening know that Councillor Youssef did have an excused absence for today. Councillor Woodruff had an issue at work and he could not leave, and so that is why he is not here today. He wanted to say sorry. Presentations, proclamations. There's no items. Next up is city manager updates. Oh, we're here. Never mind. I hear the translator.
Yes, sorry. They don't move me into the room and I was not able to open up my mic. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name is Liz Torres, and I am here with my colleague Nestor. We're here from the CLC, and we want to thank you for your commitment to language justice. What this means is that everyone has the right to speak and be heard in the language of their heart. So today we're going to do simultaneous interpretation, and we should be able to turn it on in a few minutes. You can go to the More menu and select Languages and Speech, and you can select English or Spanish from there. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Liz Torres y estoy aquí con mi colega Néstor. Estamos aquí de la CLC y queremos agradecerle por su compromiso con la justicia lingüística. Y el día de hoy vamos a interpretar simultáneamente y podrá tener acceso al menú de interpretación por medio de los 3 puntitos que dicen More o más, y allí puede seleccionar el idioma de su corazón. And we can go ahead and get started.
Great, thank you. All right. City manager updates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we do have a city manager update. I'm going to ask Devin Schmidt, our Chief Financial Officer, to come up and present some news that we heard today.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Devin Schmidt, Chief Financial Officer. I wanted to provide an update that we received from the Government Finance Officers Association that Durango did receive our Certificate for Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. So this award is in alignment with our goal of organizational stewardship to ensure a financially sustainable, innovation-led framework that thrives on building effective partnerships to alleviate city costs and harness the power of technology for efficiency. So what does this award mean for the city of Durango? This recognition highlights the finance and accounting team's dedication and commitment to excellence. It acknowledges the city's spirit of our full disclosure, transparency, and clear commitment to financial communication. This achievement enhances our public trust and showcases the professionalism of the teamwork within the finance department. And the award is the highest honor in governmental accounting and financial reporting, recognizing adherence to the Government Finance Officers Association's rigorous standards. I wanted to have a special appreciation or shout out for Diane Gersh, our compliance and reporting manager, for her leadership in guiding this annual process. And congratulations to all involved in this remarkable accomplishment. So congratulations to this amazing team. This is really a testament to the work that our finance team has accomplished for the 2023 ACFR.
Yes.
Mayor and Council, I just wanted to take an opportunity to give Devin a big thank you for all of the work that she's placed in. As you all know, this is her last council meeting with us. Devin is going on to St. Pete's Beach to be their Chief Financial Officer, and I thought it was an appropriate time to commend her for her service there she had here at the City of Durango. Some of you may know she got here in late 2019, so she was here a few months before I got here, but was taking care of the finance department after the unfortunate embezzlement incident. And I think, as you see today, a bittersweet time for us to see her leave, but seeing where she took over back in 2019 and helping the finance department go through to where we are now as an award-winning department, along with some recognition that we've received from not only the Department of Local Affairs, but universities now that are using our financial reporting. So in front of everyone here, Devin, thank you so much for your service to the city of Durango. We will miss you, but wish you the very best in your journey to St. Pete Beach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. All right, next up, we have committee, board, and liaison reports. Do you have anything? Nothing for Councilor Bosmans? Yep.
All righty, so on February 5th, we had a dinner with the Utes and City Council downtown, and we all enjoyed the evening talking about families and what we're about. So I thought that was making good progress for us. And then on February 13th, I had the Regional Housing Authority meeting, and we're in the midst of doing a annual update and documents, and we got updates from all the members, which is Ignacio, Bayfield, La Plata County, and Durango. So that's all going pretty well at this point in the year. And then I went out to Ignacio to participate in the opening of the Rock Creek housing project there that the city of Ignacio has been working on to provide workforce housing. So they're making like 10 units that are almost done. And so it was a real positive outcome for the community there because they're going to be having some new workforce housing. And that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you. I had kind of a busy 2 weeks. We had our Alliance board meeting where we were presented with the Child Care Strategic Plan that is published online. The leaders of that push are going to be going around to different entities. I think we're going to be getting, as a council, an update on that. It's an excellent report broken down in chunks, but it's going to take us about $20 million to solve our child care crisis. So that's kind of a big chunk that we'll have have to try to chip away at here and there. We had, like Gilda said, an amazing dinner with the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and planning for another meeting in the near future over at the tribe. We had lots of great discussions about potentially getting youth, the mayor's youth committee. I thought this was important for Ben too, because I didn't mention it. But the mayor's youth advisory commission and then their youth advisory commission, maybe together on some regional efforts. I thought that could be really cool. I had a Q&A with Florida Mesa Student Council here, where they were learning about city governance, and Ben and Faye took them on a tour of City Hall. And then they did the drawing for the lots on the placements of the ballot, which Kip and Chris were here with me for. So that was fun and exciting. And then, I've had 2 Project Run leadership luncheons. So Project Run is an alliance program that's kind of developing our workforce in Durango and trying to give them the skills and leadership skills. And so I've been doing some one-on-one luncheons with them. I met with Andrew about the Colorado Voting Act that's going through legislation right now. I think it might be good to get like Faye or Ben kind of apprised on those things, just how it could affect us and if it's a positive for the city of Durango or not. We had the investor meeting. Jose and I went and met with the bid board and talked to them about some initiatives that the city has been looking at and maybe has in the future that they could potentially weigh in on, like next steps in the design there, as well as minimum wage and the City Hall PD project and some other things. So that was nice to kind of get their feedback on different things that we've been doing. The Green Business Roundtable was last week as well. The Durango Botanic Gardens talk and about their efforts and the great initiatives that they have coming forward. And then Gilda and I attended the FAB executive meeting. So, just a few meetings over the last couple weeks. Let's move on to item 7, public comment on action items only.
Public comment is encouraged on agenda items set for consideration and a vote by the council tonight. Public comments on items not set for consideration by the council come later in the meeting. Please begin your comments by stating the agenda item set for a vote you intend to speak on, your full name, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, unless modified by the council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to the item you identified when you began your comments. Profanity, hate speech, personally derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to the item you identified, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak.
Thank you. And there's one individual who signed up to speak under agenda items, and that is Alan Miller, who indicated that they are online and they're speaking about item 11.2, which is the 2 resolutions to amend the city's 2025 operating and 2024 and 2025 capital budget. And this was for Alan Miller.
Ellen, can you unmute your microphone?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you now.
Hey, thanks very much. My name is Alan Millar. I'm a resident of the city of Durango, and I'm speaking today regarding the budget amendment for the College and 8th Safety Project. I'd like to begin by thanking Mayor Buell and Transportation Director Sarah Hill for taking the time to walk through the streets of our neighborhood and listen to our current concerns a few weeks ago. I sent an email to this effect as well, but I'll just follow up by saying I'm also the president of our local HOA, and we are located a short distance away from East 8th. We presented the project information to all of our membership, and all the responses were in favor of the project, which would be a real boon to our neighborhood. In particular, several folks noted how much the project would improve the intersection of 3rd Street and 8th Avenue, which is the primary access to the trails at Horse Gulch. There's a whole lot of people who cross that, cyclists and pedestrians every day. And it's kind of, as we discussed on our neighborhood walkabout, it's kind of a dangerous place to cross, and it'd be great to have this project make it safer. Putting 8th Avenue and College on a road diet, as well as other improvements, would reduce crashes, improve access and safety for vulnerable road users, and improve connectivity to our trail system. We should be encouraging folks to access these trails without using their cars and make it easy and safer for them. By slowing traffic down, it would also decrease road noise and frankly, make it a lot easier for kids to get to Park Elementary without their folks driving them in their cars. Thanks for your time and attention, and I'll sign off now, or you guys will sign me off.
Thank you, Alan.
And that was the only individual who signed up to speak for this section of public comment.
Perfect. Next up, we have item 8, our consent agenda. Can I get a reading of the consent agenda?
Yes, thank you. Item 8.1, approval of meeting minutes. We have approval of the minutes from the February 4th, 2025 City Council regular meeting. Under 8.2, final reading of ordinances, we have final approval of ordinance O 2025-10, amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 3, alcoholic beverages, Section 13-9, takeout and delivery permits. There are no adoption of resolutions by consent. There are no approval of other administrative items. And there are no items under 8.5, request for public hearing. Under 8.6, introduction of ordinances, we have 8.6.1, which is introduction of an ordinance authorizing the City of Durango to sublease the upstairs offices located at 802 Main Avenue to Lucky Services LLC, the Board of Trustees for Fort Lewis College, and the Durango Business Improvement District. Under 8.6.2, we have introduction of an ordinance establishing the Durango Prosperity Office, appointing a prosperity officer, and creating divisions of economic opportunity, innovative housing solutions, and destination marketing and management, all pursuant to the Durango Charter, Article 2, Section 11, Paragraph A. Under 8.6.3, we have introduction of an ordinance to establish a tourism commission through the creation of the Prosperity Office. 8.6.4 is introduction of an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council, by amending Section 2-19, Rules of Procedure, Part B, Section 7. Under 8.6.5, we have introduction of an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 16, Noise, Section 16-9, Exterior loudspeakers. And there are no items under 8.7, which is request for excused absences.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. I'm going to pull 8.6.1 and 8.6.4. Does any other counselors have any items to pull?
No, second.
Okay, so approve them with the taken of. Okay, excellent. Wait, I need a motion to approve them.
I approve the items that Jessica just listed.
And I'll second. Can I have a roll call?
Councilor Bosmans,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. All right, items pulled from the consent agenda. I'll start with 8.6.1. I'm going to have to recuse myself from this. As we know, it's a conflict of interest. I own Lucky Services. I've disclosed this numerous times. Because I'm recusing myself, there won't be a quorum for this vote. And so I'm going to ask for counselors to make a motion to move it to the next city council meeting.
I make a motion to move 8.6.1 to the next meeting.
I'll second. Can I second if I pull? Yes.
Once you lose the quorum, it automatically rolls over.
Okay,
Okay.
Great.
You can vote.
great. Can I get a vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Bosmans,
Yes.
Mayor Buell.
Yes. In terms of 8.6.4, an introduction of ordinance amending the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council by amending Section 2-19 Rules of Procedure, Part B, Section 7. This was submitted by Councilor Youssef. As she's not here, I'm going to suggest that I get a motion to move it to the next meeting.
I make a motion that we move 8.6.4 to the next meeting.
I'll second. Council discussion? All right, can I get a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Bosmans,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. All right, moving on. Item 10, public hearings. 10.1 is a public hearing regarding an ordinance for the City of Durango and La Plata County Joint Annexation Petition of County Roads 250 and 251, submitted by Daniel Murray, Community Development. Daniel.
Good evening, Mayor Buell and Council. Here this evening to present a public hearing and first consideration, but two parts. We'll just do public hearing now, and then first consideration is later on your agenda. This is regarding the joint annexation petitions from City of Durango as well as La Plata County for County Roads 250, 251 as road right-of-way. Quick context map. So you see the left side of your screen was where the annexation would begin at Holly. That's currently city limits up to the intersection of 250, 251 and Metz Lane. The area in blue is the portion of the road proposed for annexation. The area on the north side of the road is largely county, and the area on the southern part of the road is largely city limits. Zooming in a little closer, and these are two pages from exhibits in the actual annexation. You see the area in blue is proposed for annexation. The areas in yellow are important. Those are portions that are contiguous to city limits currently. So a little less contiguity in this first half, but almost entirely, entirely contiguous in the second half of the road segment. And this shows the portion that will be improved as well at the intersection of 250, 251. This is a good snapshot of existing conditions. We see the lack of shoulders, the lack of any sidewalk or bike lane, as well as any storm water improvements. It's currently being handled by ditches on both sides of the road, and a very aging road surface that's in need of improvement. So what's proposed is both shown here in plan view or cross section, and we see two 11-foot travel lanes with a median at times, as well as concrete bike lanes 5 to 6 feet on both sides, a landscape buffer, and then a concrete sidewalk in 10 feet in width, known as a multi-use path. We can easily visualize this because the road is half under construction. So here we see phase 1 over to phase 2. And that's the median, travel lanes and bike lanes. And all the concrete stage to the left, that's what is involved in stormwater. That all goes underneath the road in the curb and gutter to handle runoff. Next slide again showing phase 1 and its current improvement. What's important here is to highlight the multi-use path on the left side that's graded and will be paved as part of phase 2. And the bike lanes are a little more advanced design where rather than having pavement transition to concrete and cyclists are choosing between those two surfaces, it's a full continuous concrete drain pan similar to Florida Road, and it makes it much more conducive for a cyclist to use. And I've referenced a good case study here. This is Florida Road. It almost draws entirely from the same scenario. You have your multi-use path, landscape strip, the concrete drain pan, which functions as a bike lane, travel lane, median, and another travel lane. So we know what we're getting, and it ties our design throughout the city. So picking up with annexation, in the background, this is a joint partnership between city and county. The parties recognized the primary benefits of annexation would be the public improvements, such as road surfacing, sidewalk, crosswalks, bike lane, and drainage improvements, but also roads, when improved, create economic opportunities. And this is an arterial road for the city. It's a very important connectivity on this portion of town. And with infrastructure comes the opportunity for increased housing stock, employment, and businesses generate sales tax, which benefit both city and county. The parties came together in 2024 to enter into an intergovernmental agreement, an IGA. The parties committed to the annexation process as well as funding. And really, it was that funding and IGA that enabled the road improvements to kick off last year. I mentioned both its city and county. As you would expect, city is a partner here since we've acquired road portions of land where the county right-of-way was not the full width. So that's why you have two petitions coming together in a joint annexation petition. The total acreage of the road is a little over 7 acres. Process-wise, this began many years ago, 11 years now, where the parties identified the need for road improvements and had an initial road design. That design was updated in 2019. In 2021, community engagement kicked off and there was a final road design in 2024. In 2021 through 24 is when the city, as I mentioned, went through the process of acquiring about a dozen slivers of land to complete the road right-of-way that's needed per our standards. And then the intergovernmental agreement for annexation allowed road construction to begin last year. Bringing things up to date, the Community Development Commission made a recommendation to council. It was unanimous, 6-0 in August 26th of 24. And then the joint annexation petitions were submitted by the Board of County Commissioners as well as the City of Durango, which allows us to be here today. We've gone through 2 of the 3 steps. On January 7th, we accepted the petitions, or I should say council accepted the petitions. You set a public hearing date of today. And the second piece of tonight would be an introduction of the ordinance. Provided council takes action tonight, the third and final step would be the final consideration, which could happen as soon as March 4th. Road construction will resume this summer during typical construction season, and it will be completed this summer as well. Looking at the review criteria, there are 4. First being that yellow line I mentioned, there has to be a minimum of 1/6 or 16% contiguity with city limits. In this case, we have 36% contiguity. There has to be at least 50% landowner consent, and in this case, city and county allows us to achieve 100% of landowner consent. And is the annexation of community interest? This draws from statute, where oftentimes annexation is land, not roads. So is the area of benefit to the city of Durango in terms of its community. And it is most certainly capable of being integrated into city limits, as it is a key part of our road infrastructure and it's adjacent to the city. And lastly, are we going beyond more than 3 miles from city limits? And that is not the case. We are right adjacent to the city. There are actually 3 strategic plan goals being met with this annexation: organizational stewardship, as well as innovative housing and economic opportunity with respect to what development could come. And lastly, the road itself is an example of reliable infrastructure and community connectivity. Looking at our comprehensive plan, it identifies this road as a priority road network for improvements. So this annexation is what enables those improvements. It's also called out on the 2030 regional plan, which is a partnership with CDOT. And then lastly, I've mentioned how this type of infrastructure can lead to economic opportunity and housing development. Staff finds that the proposal does meet the criteria of both statute and land use development code. We did not receive any formal comments. I received 1 phone call, and their question was regarding addressing. The properties on 251 and 250 will need to be readdressed once this is annexed into the city. We'll come back to council with a separate resolution setting those names, and we'll have an address map. GIS is still working through that process, and we think that can coincide with completion of construction. So that's not necessarily contingent upon tonight. So this is step one would be our recommendation to open a public hearing, and then we can come back at your desire for the first consideration later tonight.
Excellent, thank you. I'll move to open a public hearing for the proposed City of Durango and La Plata County joint annexation petition of County Roads 250 and 251.
Second.
Council discussion? Can I get a vote?
Mayor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
and Councilor Bosmans.
Yes.
All right, the public hearing is open. Do we have any public comments for this item?
No one had signed up for this item.
Okay. Then I will close the public hearing. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, item 10.1 has been continued to March 4th. Next up, we have item 11, resolutions. 11.1 is a resolution to adopt an updated purchasing policy submitted by Finance. Devin.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Devin Schmidt, Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to start by thanking our purchasing manager, Bob Grogan, and our purchasing administrator, Allison Everett, as well as Zita Fail for their work on this purchasing policy. The policy's role is to ensure fair and ethical, efficient procurement processes. This policy protects public funds, promotes accountability, and aligns with the city's financial sustainability goals. So first off, the alignment with organizational stewardship objective, specifically to ensure a financially sustainable, innovation-led framework that thrives on building effective partnerships to alleviate city costs and harness the power of technology for efficiency. So just a little background, what does our purchasing team within financial services do? They do the procurement on behalf of the city. So any of the transactions for city funds are put through the purchasing policy process to ensure fair and equitable treatment of vendors, stakeholders involved in the public procurement. This policy will apply to all city departments, employees, and entities that are handling city-related purchases. This ensures the best use of public funds for acquisition, goods and services, and construction. And in addition, will conduct legal, open, and transparent equitable procurement processes for the city. So just a fun little history here. The first purchasing policy was actually a code that dated back to 1958. There had been prior revisions that had occurred from 1958 to the 2011 policy that the city has been operating on. In 2019, staff identified that the purchasing policy needed a revision for operations to bring us up to speed with current times. So 2022, that draft policy was started, utilizing other entities that have received a lot of federal and state funding as a starting source document. In 2024, the policy was drafted for departmental review and input. So the policy was sent widespread to make sure that it would fit within the operations, but also had all of the different state, federal, and requirements in the policy. So 2025 is where we're at today, finalized for council consideration after all of the departmental incorporations. And so it's been quite a journey for the purchasing team going through this policy. And so I just want to talk a little bit about the purpose. So this really establishes the procedures for the city-related transaction, ensures fairness, value, ethics, and integrity. It's also a training document for all of the departments when they're coming on in the city so that they're able to understand how to purchase goods and services within the department. The scope, so this does apply to all city departments, employees involved in procurement, and it's the responsibility of the financial services department to support the other departments in procuring goods and services efficiently, ethically, and responsibly. The responsibility of elected officials and directors is to oversee the purchases within the approved budget and ensure compliance. And again, I had mentioned that this policy aligns with organizational stewardship and that it ensures that the city is doing its due diligence to achieve financial sustainability by ensuring fair and proper procurement. So one of the threshold changes that was implemented in this policy is for small purchases that is moving to a penny to 5,000 do not require formal quotes, but should ensure cost effectiveness. Informal solicitations require at least 3 written quotes. Informal solicitations is anything over 50,000 that requires a public bidding process. So an invitation to bid or request for proposal are a few examples for competition. Excuse me. So that is one of the bigger changes. Our prior policy was started the quotes at $1,000 threshold. This is more in line with our state and federal partners. And so I'll talk a little bit about those changes within there. So increasing that threshold up is in line with best practices and what other agencies do. So the new thresholds will still align with state and federal grant requirements, allowing purchasing to focus their time on larger projects, bids, negotiations, and the ability to really focus on those higher cost items. The local preference has been maintained. However, local preference is not allowed when you do have federal grant funding. But the local preference really is in effect to promote local business support. And so that's an opportunity that still exists as long as it's not federal dollars that are paying for the project. In addition, we introduced a new procurement methodology, which is the introduction of requests for qualifications and qualification-based selections. This is for professional services like architecture, engineering, and land surveying. And the policy has been significantly streamlined, shortened from 61 pages to 21 to make it more accessible for departments and our vendors that we work with to follow the process. So with that, I do have a motion for council, but just to kind of summarize and bring it all together, the policy is for transparency for the vendors that we're working with, accountability, as well as efficiency in the city procurement processes. Departments must follow those procurement thresholds, solicitation processes, and compliance. It allows for a continuation of fair competition, ethical contact, and fiscal responsibility. So yeah, with that, I'll leave you with the recommendation.
Excellent, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-2025-0021, adopting the 2025 purchasing policy for the City of Durango.
Second.
Council discussion. All right, can I get a vote?
Councillor Bosmans,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. Okay, and then do we have the capital budget, 2025 capital budget presentation? Okay,
Yes.
excellent.
Next one is 11.2, 2 resolutions to amend the city's 2025
gosh.
operating and 2024 and 2025 capital budget submitted by finance.
I was reading that all under one, sorry.
Gotcha. Teamwork.
I'm
Teamwork.
sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome, Elliot.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. This is a request for budget amendment to amend both the 2024 and 2025 capital amendments and an operating amendment for 2025. We always like to start with the city's mission, vision, and values, and we've additionally added the finance customer service statement just for full transparency in what we're trying to achieve as a department. So starting off, operating. This is the operating fund balance for the city. You can see that we do have the fund balance available to cover all of the amendments that we're discussing tonight. And both of the amendments, operating amendments that we're talking about, are cleanup and hopefully pretty straightforward. So first, once we got into 2025, we realized that one airport construction or capital project was actually budgeted for under their operating fund. So we are just making a proposal to move that to the construction fund. So no changes in any of the expenses on the project. Again, just moving it from their operating fund to their capital fund. And then next, we have the Emergency Telephone Service Agency. Late in 2024, the ETSA board did elect to move their finances to a city fund for better economies of scale, mainly around the audit. Previously, they were being audited separately at an additional expense to ETSA, and by moving it to be a city fund, we can include it in our audit and have less expense and be able to allocate those dollars more effectively to the services that they provide. But due to that timing, we weren't able to set up the fund and division and everything that goes along with that by the time of budget adoption. But we have set it up now, and we're just making the request to move those ETSA funds to its own division for better reporting. And then next, we have capital. And again, these are the fund balances. And as you can see, we do have the fund balance available for all of the amendments that we are proposing tonight. And the first capital amendment that we are talking about is actually for information technology. And normally Justin Carlton would be presenting this as it is an IT proposal, but I'm filling in for him while he is out. So we have another capital project where we are redoing the Animas River Trail between Santa Rita and Albertsons. And along with that, we are proposing and did propose to install fiber network line as part of a redundant system. When we got the bid back for the whole project, both the Animas River Trail and fiber install, the fiber portion of it did come in over what we had budgeted for, and the proposal is simply to increase the budget for the amount of that increase. So with that, I will hand it off to Mr. Marty Poole to talk about the sustainability amendment.
Good evening, Council. This is a pretty straightforward request. This is simply a continuation of the project budget to complete the EV chargers, the installation of additional EV charging stations at the transit center. Essentially, we just couldn't complete the project before the end of the 2024 calendar year. And so all of the electrical infrastructure and underground work has been completed, but the actual purchase and installation of the charging stations themselves was on a backlog and couldn't be completed before the end of 2024. So this would just be a continuation and completion of that project that was already fully budgeted in 24. So, and then with that, Scott with Parks and Rec.
Good evening, Scott McLean with Parks and Recreation. We have 3 requests for budget amendments this evening. All 3 of them support the strategic plan goal of safety and quality of life. The first one is with Durango Mesa Park and the infrastructure. What we had budgeted for 25 was for the completion of the emergency egress road. That project was started in 2024. The 2025 budget also supports the intersection improvements at Highway 3 and the road development from Highway 3 up to the top of the mesa. When we went through budget process in 24, we made an estimate of where we would be with the emergency egress road by end of year. With the nice weather we had in November, December, we were able to complete that project where the contractor was. So the request is a transfer of $59,229 from the 25 budget to the 24, so that we can pay for the work that was completed in 24 with the 24 budget. The next project we have is for the Community Recreation Center, and we had money budgeted for the replacement of a rooftop unit to provide heating and cooling for the gymnasium space at the rec center. When we got initial estimates for the replacement of the rooftop unit, the numbers we got were for just for the rooftop. As we did the formal bid, it became to our attention that the software that we use at the rec center to control all of the HVAC systems no longer would not support the newer unit. So the 39,000 that we're requesting is an addition that covers the software. So the newer software will cover both or provide support for the new units as well as the older ones. And then as those are replaced, it will provide for the newer units as we move into the future. And then the third, we had Chapman Hill. We had a proposal or budget for both a snow melt pit heater and a bleacher heater at Chapman Hill for the ice rink, and are requesting a reduction of 39,000 to offset the increase we're asking for the gymnasium at the rec center. And that was essentially the cost for the bleacher heater. Staff has made some repairs to that or had that repaired. So we've got it, should be able to get through this season. And then we still have money for the snow melt pit heater replacement as needed. So with that, I will turn it over to Devin King with the multimodal.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, Devin King, multimodal manager for the city. The first one I'm bringing before you tonight is Junction Street design. So this is reappropriating funds from 2024 for a continuation of the project. So this is both a reconstruct design of the roadway itself. I think all of us can attest how that roadway needs it. And then it is also improving multimodal facilities by adding a shared use path as well as traffic calming features. Originally, we had planned on finishing this project's design in 2024. However, towards the end of the fall of last year, it came to our attention that some of the utilities needed to be redesigned and replaced as well. So that is why we delayed the design of the project to add the utilities portion in there. So there is a request for additional funding, $75,000 for utilities from the water fund to finish up that design. So yeah, we are hoping to finish that up this year. College NATE safety, y'all have seen and heard this one before. We received grant funding for this project, gosh, a long time ago. And this project originally started off with a traffic study that determined moving the road from 4 lanes to 3 lanes would improve the safety along there, as well as making accessibility improvements to the transit stops and sidewalks connecting that. It also includes buffered bike lanes and then pedestrian crossing improvements, especially at 3rd and 8th Avenue. So we put this project out to bid a few times, and unfortunately it went out to bid originally during the height of the COVID era. So we didn't receive any bids. The last 2 times it went out, we did receive a bid. However, the bid was approximately about 2.5 over what we have funded. So with that, we are making requests for additional funds. And those funds are paying basically the difference in the current budget and what the bid came in from the contractor, as well as third-party management oversight. So that is for quality testing of materials, as well as making sure we are following all of the grant specifications. So since this does have a lot of grant funding, there are CDOT federal requirements associated with that, like civil rights, DBE goals, and other things associated like that by America. And so that third party is required from CDOT to make sure that we abide by all of that. And then there's also CIP management and then some contingency funds as well in this additional request. And I will add that the funds, some of the grant funds do sunset next year in 2026. So that is another added level for getting this project done. With that, I will turn it over to Laura.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Laura Rick from Public Works. So the Grandview Access Control Plan, or ACP, looks ahead to reroute, consolidate, or remove access points from the 160 and 172 highways to reduce the risk of accidents for drivers getting on and off of the highways. So this is a continuation of an existing project that was on hold in 24, but will restart in 25. We're requesting an additional 25 grand to address the significant public response that we received by adding more public meetings and potential design changes based on the outcome of those meetings. The 32nd Street Extended Detention Basin project is being built to enhance stormwater quality for a 300-acre sub-basin by using passive treatment through a stormwater detention basin. Phase 1 of the project was completed in 2024 and didn't complete all the project components that needed dam safety approval. So Phase 2 of the project includes the completion of dam safety, and once approved by the state, the final components of the outlet structure will be completed and the berm will be constructed, which would conclude the project. Utility or master plans for critical infrastructure such as water and wastewater should be updated every 3 to 5 years. And Public Works has identified the need to develop a comprehensive utility master plan that would be updated every 5 years, 1 year following updates to the city's strategic plans to ensure alignment with the city's Trail to Excellence. The proposed utilities master plan for 2025 includes an update to the 2021 water master plan and the creation of a sewer or wastewater system master plan, and will include rate studies for water and sewer to ensure that the existing water and sewer rates are aligned with required maintenance and replacement, capital improvement project needs, and future infrastructure development. The Public Works Department's operations, maintenance, capital improvements, finance, and management teams will be heavily involved in this process to ensure the utilities master plan includes staff knowledge and expertise of our systems. Once dedicated funding is secured for the stormwater management program, future versions of this comprehensive utilities master plan would include updates to the stormwater master plan as well as water and sewer. The primary sludge pumps for Santa Rita Water Reclamation Facilities project is a continuation from 2024 due to long lead times for getting the pumps here. They were received at the end of 2024 and they're scheduled to start installation as soon as possible in 25. The project itself replaces 3 oversized primary sludge pumps within the wastewater facility with smaller, more efficient pumps. So this will decrease operational issues that we're facing and electrical costs and ensure more consistent operation of the treatment process itself. The Rivera Bridge drainage design. Rivera Bridge is located behind Home Depot on La Posta, and there's a 12-inch water line that's suspended underneath the bridge. And there's a flushing point at the end of the bridge just above Dolabella Park. It's an inadequate flushing point. And then the drainage ditch that goes down underneath the bridge is completely eroded and depositing a lot of sediment into the Animas River. So the project includes design and installation of appropriate drainage ditch armoring to restore the surface to prevent further erosion and to replace that inadequate flushing point with an actual fire hydrant so that the crews can properly flush this area of our water system and utilize dechlorination equipment to prevent chlorinated water from entering the Animas River. And lastly, for Public Works, the main Ave signal repair. This project is needed to upgrade the signal controllers and electrical panels to current operational and safety standards. The controllers and panels to be replaced are at the intersections of Main Ave and 8th, 9th, and 11th Streets. CDOT has indicated that these signal cabinets need to be upgraded and the wiring all needs to be replaced within them to improve safety and reliability of the existing signals, as they're currently posing an electrical safety concern, including wiring becoming corroded inside, grounding, and overheating inside of the panels. So the project was planned to be completed last year in 2024, but due to contractor timelines, it's being pushed to this year. And I'll turn it back to Elliot. Thank you.
All right, well, with that, we have the recommendation for council to approve the budget amendment for both the 2024 budget and 2025 budget.
Thank you, Elliot, for the presentation. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-2025-0017, appropriating budget to various funds and operating and capital funds as outlined in the resolution amending the 2024 budget.
Second.
Council discussion?
Thank you all for the presentation. I appreciate that. I had a couple of questions. The establishment of a new emergency telephone service agency fund. Is there any relation to the creation of this new fund with the friction that we have with the county that involves jail services, but also 911 services, or is it just pure coincidence?
Pure coincidence.
Okay. The next question I had is on the sewer and water master plan. I believe, thank you. I believe we had a water master plan in 2020 or 2021.
21.
Updated, and the budget was $100,000, I believe. And we had the sewer master plan updated for about $80,000.
The sewer was not, oops, I just pressed that. The sewer was not included in that, and we have not had a sewer master plan, I believe, since.
Well, I can give you, I have a file here open. It says the last time the storm drain master plan was updated was 82, but in 2020 and 2021, we have completed or had budgeted for multiple phases of the storm drainage master plan.
So I think we're talking about two different things. I was talking about the wastewater and collection system. There has not been a master plan created for that. So this proposal would create a wastewater collection system master plan. And then for future versions of this, comprehensive utility master plan, we would be including updates to the stormwater master plan that was completed in 2018.
Okay. I'm just a little shocked on the cost for all these water plants. Every 4 years, 5 years, we do one. It has been in the order of $80,000 to $100,000, I'm guessing. And now it's $660,000 for a combined, updated, let me use the correct words, sewer and.
And this is purely an estimate.
Okay,
So
there's no.
Nope, not at this time.
What do you expect makes these master plans so expensive?
Well, we have put out a request for qualifications for the utilities master plan, and that was just submitted, or put out, I should say, in the last week. So we should be receiving, not proposals, but we should be receiving qualifications soon. And after that process of qualification-based selection, we'll then look into proposals from the selected firm.
Okay, and how did you come up with the 600,000 plus 10%?
It was just based on estimates of other planning efforts that we've had in the past.
Oh.
For larger scale projects like this.
Well, is it large? It's a master plan, yeah? So it's probably a 200-page document. I'm just shocked on the prices I see. That's all. If it's just an estimate, then hopefully the actual numbers will be different.
At this time.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, councilors? Can I get a vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Bosmans,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. Okay, I'll make a motion. Ooh, Joe, don't change it yet.
One more. Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-2025-0021, appropriating budget to various funds and operating and capital funds as outlined in the resolution amending the 2025 budget. Second. Council discussion. Great. Can I get a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Bosmans,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11.3, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the contract to sell the city-owned property located at 209 West College Drive, known as the D&S NGR parking lot, to the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Company. City Attorney.
This was a bank requirement, not our bank, the bank for the railroad. We do everything by ordinance when it comes to property, but the lending agency to the bank wanted a resolution. So we said, we've all closed real estate before, and we'll give the bank what they want. So Jim is here if you have any specific questions about it, but it's simply that. The railroad called us and said their lender is requiring a resolution, and so we're offering a resolution.
Excellent, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the contract to sell the city-owned property located at 209 West College Drive, known as the D&S NGR parking lot, to the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Company.
Second.
Do I have council discussion?
Yeah, I'll just make a brief comment. Even though I voted against the sale of this property, a majority of council voted in favor of selling this property, and as a result, I will accept the decision made by council as a body. This resolution is for the city manager to execute that contract, which I will support given the previous decision by city council.
Excellent. Anything else? Can I get a roll call?
Mayor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
and Councilor Bosmans.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. 11.4, a resolution of public censure and public reprimand of Councilor Bosmans for acting in a manner unbecoming of a councilor, bringing disrepute to the Durango City Council, and issuing a letter of an apology to the city manager and the chief of police.
All
Yeah.
right, I would like to pull this item until the next meeting due to the fact that we don't have a full council here.
Excellent. Do you want to make a motion to
So
pull it?
my motion is to move this item 11.4 to the next meeting.
I will second. Council discussion? Okay, can I get a vote?
Councilor Bosmans,
Sure. Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. Okay, item 12 is our first consideration of ordinances. I'm going to make a motion to continue all items under 12 to the next city council meeting, as ordinances require the majority of council to move forward. Since there's only 3 of us here, I think it's a courtesy to the absent councilors.
Second.
Council discussion? Can I get a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Yazzie,
Yes.
Councilor Bosmans,
Yes.
and Mayor Buell.
Yes. All right, moving right along. Item 13, public comment on city matters not scheduled for a vote tonight. All right, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The first individual for public comment not scheduled for a vote tonight is Annalise Lassiter.
My name is Annalise Lassiter. I'm a resident of the city of Durango, and I'm here on behalf of the coalition that has urged the city to consider a drafting of ordinance to raise the minimum wage. The Region 9 Economic Development District, the 5-county region of which La Plata County is a member, published their livable wages for Southwest Colorado recently for 2024. And it identified a growing workforce shortage in the area, and it pointed out that the ability to attract and retain workers is essential for growing and sustaining a healthy economy. And that's no surprise to any of you or business owners. The report identifies the self-sufficiency wage in La Plata County to be $21.55. And that would require a household of one at the current minimum wage to maintain 1.49 jobs. And if you have an adult and a preschool age kid, that would require that household to work 2.58 jobs, and a 2-adult household with 1 child, 1.72 jobs. So I just wanted to point that out because that it exemplifies the growing wage gap. There's of course mounds of data that suggests that increase in livable wages increases work productivity, decreases employee turnover, and lowers absenteeism. And an item for your consideration as you go into these work sessions is that we met with the chamber leaders, the Business Improvement District, the Local First, and the Small Business Development Center last week. And one of their concerns was the teen minimum wage earners, because that was one of the concerns amongst their constituents that was vocalized. And based on our research, the number of households in the area that rely on minors' wages as a contributing source of income to household expenses is rising, and is close to about 30%. Just pure math, if you think about, for those of you that do have minors, their auto insurance costs more. They have the same fixed costs in terms of gas and other expenses as their peers. So that's another reason why they shouldn't be subjected to lower wages. Many youth in these jobs are already facing difficult choices between saving for post-secondary high school education, whether that's a trade or a college, or helping make ends meet for their families. If you create wage exemptions for young people, this also sets a dangerous precedent and a race to the bottom, because they're having to choose between working conditions and contributing to their families versus more privileged teens that can just spend their time studying and focusing on college prep. And just as a former minimum wage worker who was raised in Bayfield and had to drive myself to Durango and earn minimum wage, it wasn't fun. And I just urge you to consider not to exempt minors when you draft the ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next individual who signed up is Karen Pontius.
Hi, guys. My name's Karen Pontius. I live in Durango, and I want to go on record as saying I'm in favor of raising the minimum wage here in the city, which the city council has the ability to do. But today I'm going to read a statement from my friend Tia Leto. She's been a Durango resident since a toddler. Now I'll use her words. I know these days most young people dream of escaping their hometown as soon as they can. She's 27, I think. But I knew from a very young age that Durango was a special place. I wanted to build my life here and be a raft guide. I worked for rafting companies before I was old enough to go to guide school, and then became a guide once I was. I went to Fort Lewis. While there, I put together a raft racing team that represented the United States at the World Rafting Championships. All this is to say I truly wanted to be a guide for the rest of my life. This was the career that made me happiest. But the reality in Durango is that many, if not most of the raft guides living here cannot actually afford a place to live. Many of them may glamorize living out of their vehicle for the season as the dirtbag way of life. We've heard about that. But in truth, this means that a raft guiding is not a sustainable job for anyone who doesn't have a financial safety net from their families. What happens if you're a raft guide without that safety net and you get predictably injured in this incredibly dangerous, technical and physically strenuous jobs? It was heartbreaking for me when I realized there was literally no way I could make enough money by raft guiding and working other seasonal jobs to establish a life here in Durango. Guides being responsible for the lives of their clients and exercising an incredibly technical skill in doing so are only paid whatever the minimum wage requires. I'm not saying raft guides should be taking in high dollar earnings. I understood it wouldn't be a lucrative career, but anyone who's working 40+ hour a week should at bare minimum afford to have a roof over their head and food on their table. There are safety concerns created by this low pay. Raft guides with any experience are not going to stick around for that kind of pay, meaning there's incredibly high turnover in the rafting industry in Durango. And again, most of the guides you see floating the Animas during the summer are rookies or 2-year guides. Without adequate mentorship from many multi-year guides, it's understandable that some of the most inexperienced guides may not know how to make the best safety decisions on the water. So it's obvious to me and anyone with working eyeballs in Durango that we desperately need a higher minimum wage, not just because what I've said, but for all the young people that dream of making Durango their home, or people like me that want to stay here. This is my community. What should I do if I can't live here? And I only have a few seconds, so I'm going to ask that you give us a study session or work session, whatever that's called, so that we can bring all our paperwork to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last individual who signed up is Jeff Dunn.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jeff Dunn. I'm a Durango resident and co-owner of a local carpentry outfit here in town, and I'm also here to support the issue of raising the minimum wage in Durango. Over the last 5 years, the increase in cost of living in Durango has dramatically outpaced the increase in wages. We have seen a staggering increase in the amount of wealth aggregating here in town, but very little of that seems to have made its way to the laborers and workers in various industries that make Durango so appealing. While home prices and rents have increased upwards of 70% over the last 5 years, the state minimum wage has increased a mere 33%. Fortunately, Durango has the authority to raise our minimum wage to something that more accurately reflects the needs of the local workforce. This type of proposal has frequently been met with 2 rebuttals. 1, not every job is meant to provide a living wage, and 2, raising the minimum wage will simply cause businesses to raise costs, which would negate any increase in spending power. To point number 1, I would argue that a business that doesn't provide a living wage is not actually a business, but rather a pyramid scheme. If success relies on employees who earn less than a living wage, that business model needs to be reevaluated. As for point number 2, the symbiotic relationship between inflation and wages, if operating properly, should go both ways. This means that the drastic increase in cost of living over the last 5 years should have either been correlated with an increase in wages or have brought wages up with it. As carpenters, our rates have increased 65% from 2019 to today. During that time, we've not only increased employee wages, we've made all full-time positions salaried positions, while also adding benefits such as health insurance reimbursements, fuel stipends, retirement contributions, and unlimited PTO. While I can appreciate that not every industry has seen the dramatic uptick in demand that the construction industry has, I find it hard to believe that any well-managed business would not be able to afford something closer to a locally livable wage. If consumer costs are going to rise without any sort of catalyst from rising wages, then it's incumbent on us local business owners to increase wages in response to these rising costs. Typically, the default measure of success for a company is how much money the owner or owners are able to make for themselves, but it's time we start measuring success by how financially secure every member of a company is. If Durango truly wants to maintain so many of the things we claim make it such a wonderful place to live, it's imperative that we take care of our workforce and ensure that they have a reasonable opportunity to live where they work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next item, we have item 14, other new business. Nothing was on there earlier. Anyone want to add something to put on there later? Okay. And then item 15. No, they would have signed up before. And then item 15, adjournment. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.